Hello and welcome. I'm Olivia from OpenAI's education team. Of the hundreds of millions of people who use ChatGPT each week, teachers are some of our earliest and most active adopters. 3 out of 5 teachers already use AI, and weekly users report saving hours, time they can put back into what matters most, their students. ChatGPT already supports millions of teachers by saving them time on admin, helping them create more personalized materials, and helping them stay connected and collaborate with colleagues. That's why we built this course, to help you move from curiosity to confident, practical use in your own classroom. Over the course of the next 7 modules, you'll get a focused tour of ChatGPT's key tools for teachers, plus practical, applied tips that help you get better and more relevant answers. You'll see quick videos, tool demos, and hands-on practice chats you can try immediately. And of course, you'll also hear from real teachers, sharing the examples and workflows they use every day. At OpenAI, we know our tools, but you know what works best in your classroom. And while AI can support your work, it can't replace the relationships, creativity, insight, and expertise that only teachers bring. We're so glad you're here. Let's get started.
Hi, my name is Casey Cuney, and I'm an English teacher. I've been a teacher for 23 years, 9th through 12th grade English. Currently, I teach 10th grade as well as senior mythology. And I was recently selected as the 2024 California Teacher of the Year, which has been just an incredible honor. And I'm here today to show you some really cool use cases for ChatGPT, both to take work off our plate so we can be better teachers, but also how to help our students in terms of boosting engagement and critical thinking. Let's jump in. How many of you still might be using the back to school sign-in sheet with the parents, right? And after the parents leave, you look at that and you think, oh my gosh, now I have to type all of that into some sort of spreadsheet. Well, let me show you a little trick here. If I take a picture of this, all right, now we're going to jump into ChatGPT. So I'm going to take that picture that I just took and I'm going to drop that right in here to ChatGPT. And then I'm going to ask it to extract these names and email addresses and create a table for me to download. Do your best, as I will double check the names and spellings. And here we go. Here's the table. I can click here to download it as a CSV. And then here are all of my parents and their email addresses, including, there we go, Jay Gatsby from greenlight@outlook.com. Sorry, English teacher jokes. And I want to go a step further, and I'd like that now as a comma-separated list, because I can tell ChatGPT how I want my output, and that is so important to remember. And I would like a comma-separated list, so this makes it very easy for me to copy and paste directly into my email. And there we go. And then in addition to that, I need to write the parents an email. So I'm going to ask it to please write me a welcome email to my parents using the ideas and themes from my syllabus. I'm going to give it my syllabus here. And I also want to express that I believe in their students and will strive to give them a great year. So here's my syllabus. Now I'm going to open up the Canvas, which you're going to learn about upcoming in this course, just so you can see how this works. And here we go. It's going to write me a very good email. Now, will I just send this as is? Most likely no. But this is an incredible first draft for me to get started with, which will save me so much time, and it actually looks pretty good. Now, if I want to edit this because I've clicked that canvas, I can click edit, and then this becomes a typable document. There we go. I can add anything I want in here. I could even ask ChatGPT to make some changes. I could say rewrite with a more formal tone. And then you're going to see it as it rewrites it over there on the right as a more formal tone. I could say in paragraph 3, add this detail or anything I want. And then ChatGPT is going to do those edits, or I can make the edits. We are essentially collaborating on the same document over here, which is pretty amazing. And then I could copy this, I could share it, and I've got my parent email sign-in ready to go. So I just turned a sign-in sheet into a table that I can reuse. I gave myself a list of emails to put right into my email, and I wrote a welcome email to my parents, all in just a couple minutes. So hopefully this gives you some ideas for ways that you can use ChatGPT to take care of some of those administrative tasks and take some work off your plate so you can spend more time with your students. One of the most powerful ways to use ChatGPT is to help you prepare for your instruction. Let's dive in. I'm currently teaching my 10th grade students the book 1984, and I want ChatGPT to help me a bit with a small group discussion question activity. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT, you are an expert on UDL and research-based pedagogy. Our mission here is to just generate a series of short answer questions. I then tell it that I want to focus on Common Core Reading Standards 5 and 6. I first told ChatGPT its role. I then tell it the task that I want it to do, getting pretty specific. But I don't need to give it the actual standards because it knows the standards. And then I tell it what text we're studying and to specifically focus only on chapter 2 of book 2. The CAPS just puts a little bit more emphasis to ChatGPT. And then I tell it the output. Give me 4 short answer discussion questions for each standard. So here we go. And I love that it did this. This was actually a question I was going to ask my students, that the bird is in the sun and they in the shade, meaning Winston and Julia. And then and I like this phrasing better actually than what I was going to ask. What larger idea does that structural choice support? Question 3 about pacing. I don't really want to get into pacing necessarily. So I think I'm going to go with question 1 and question 4. And then down here, I'm actually going to do 1 and 4 for both. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT. So I asked it to give me just those questions in a nice handout in both doc and PDF format. And here we are. Here are both the doc and the PDF. And let me see what the PDF looks like. Okay, not too bad. A little simple, but that's fine. But I could use my Canva integration, and I'm going to ask it to use the Canva integration and turn that doc or PDF, either one, into a colorful infographic. I've got a few options here, and if I click these, I can open them up in Canva, and I can actually modify them. And so we're off to a good start there. I really do want to focus on that light and dark in the chapter and what that kind of means for the book and the symbolism. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to help me out with some exit ticket questions. And again, I tell ChatGPT my context. Here's what I'm trying to do. Here's what I want you to help me with. And then this is what I want you to give me. Generate 3 or 4 exit style questions for me to choose from. I even asked ChatGPT to generate an image for me based on the text from the book. And this is fantastic. The thrushes in the sun, they in the shade. And I'm going to share this with my students and project this while they're working in their small groups. ChatGPT helped me create some really good standards-based discussion questions and a really good exit ticket that's going to help me see into my students' thinking, as well as an image to help provide multiple means of representation. So in all these ways, ChatGPT has helped me become a better teacher for my students. Now, this is when I get excited because I think that ChatGPT has the potential to really boost our teaching, to create opportunities to do formative assessment like we've never been able to do, to make UDL possible and realistic every day. So let's dive in on some high-level teaching with ChatGPT. So I gave a short answer quiz on the short story, Thank You, Ma'am, by Langston Hughes. These are all of their responses. This specifically is for the response to the question, what is the turning point, the moment when the character Roger changes his motivation? So these are all my student responses, right? And so I want to analyze these. Now, traditionally, I would have to go home and read these over the course of maybe 2 nights and try to figure out what I need to teach next. But watch this. You are my co-teacher and formative assessment expert. Our shared mission is to analyze student work. And this is important, determine responsive next teaching steps. I tell ChatGPT the short story, and I assume it probably knows it, but just in case, I tell it to go online and find the story. If you want ChatGPT to do any kind of research, you need to say, go online, trigger that. And then I'm asking it to analyze the responses to this one question about that turning point moment. And then I want it to categorize misconceptions and give me suggestions for next steps and instructions. Strive to give me insight into student thinking. As we all know, the key to formative assessment is eliciting evidence of student thinking and then responding to that thinking. And I also wanted to identify some exemplars. Then I'm going to hit Shift Enter a couple times and say, here are the responses. Now watch this. I'm going to go over here, all of this. Here we go. This is 2 class sets worth of responses. Paste that here into ChatGPT. Here it is, all of them. And let's watch it work. So it tells me that most students are demonstrating that understanding. However, the misconceptions cluster around, and here we go, overgeneralizing the kindness as the turning point, when not identifying where the change occurs. Some people put the turning point at the wrong spot, at the money moment in the story. So then it breaks down the major misconceptions for me, and then it gives me some instruction talking about practice distinguishing between cause and effect. All right, this is fantastic. Then it gives me some exemplars, and I've got next step instruction. It has been an honor to represent teachers in this course and get a chance to speak to all of you and share these use cases. And I hope that they spark some ideas in you on ways that you can use ChatGPT to make your life better, to improve your teaching practice, to improve the student learning that takes place in your classroom. You know, the science on learning has not changed, and AI truly is just an incredible tool that we can use strategically to improve student learning and to improve our practice, to take work off our plates. We can spend more time building those relationships with our students. Thank you again, and hope to hear from you down the road.
Hi, I'm Kara from the OpenAI education team, and I'm excited to join you for this part of the course. Now, in this section, we'll explore some of ChatGPT's most effective built-in tools, the ones that can help you move quickly from an idea to a first draft to a polished resource you can use in your teaching. Now, to keep things simple, we'll follow a clear framework. First, I'll introduce each essential tool, from Canvas to image gen to voice mode and search, and explain what they do. Then we'll look at how to apply them in practice. And finally, I'll walk you through a real example of how as a teacher you might combine these tools to plan, adapt, and enrich your lessons more efficiently. Now, by the end of this section, you'll have a practical toolkit you can apply directly to your day-to-day teaching tasks. Let's get started.
At Common Sense Media, we're here to help you navigate media and technology's impact in your schools and classrooms. We know that K-12 educators have a range of feelings about AI, from excited to curious, skeptical, or even overwhelmed. We believe that AI is just a tool. Without thoughtful planning and educator guidance, it won't transform learning. And as educators, you're the key to using this powerful technology responsibly. AI can support teaching and learning in many ways, but it can't replace what you do best: building classroom community, connecting with families, and nurturing the trust and joy that make learning meaningful. Only educators can do that. Here are our 4 tips for using AI responsibly. First, own your expertise. Although ChatGPT has been trained on a huge amount of information, it still can't do your job for you. You are the expert when it comes to your students, your classroom, and your teaching. Use it to support your expertise, not replace it. Second, be strategic. As you've learned in this course, ChatGPT is better suited to some tasks than others. Think of it as a teacher's assistant. It has its strengths and limitations, and you'll get the best results when you delegate the tasks that match what it's good at. Third, don't just ask if it works. Ask, is it good learning? Effective AI use isn't only about finding shortcuts. It's about making intentional choices to serve your students' learning goals. We call this thinking like a designer, approaching AI with purpose, awareness, and a focus on what truly helps students learn. Lastly, keep students safe and protect their privacy. When you use AI tools as an educator, you are responsible for protecting student data and well-being. Before you use any AI tool, take a moment to ask, what data does this collect and where does it go? Is it age appropriate and safe for my students? Does my school have policies about AI use, and is this use allowed by those policies? Your role is to use responsible judgment, thinking critically not just about what AI tools can do, but what they should do in your classroom. You don't have to be perfect or a tech expert to use AI responsibly. Responsible AI use is about staying aware, asking questions, and using your professional judgment to make choices that work for your students. You, just like your students, will learn best by trying, reflecting, and iterating. AI in education will keep evolving, and the best way forward is together, sharing what works, learning from each other, and building our collective expertise.
Congratulations! You made it to the end of the course. Thanks for spending time with us. Over the past few lessons, you've learned how to navigate ChatGPT, craft more effective prompts, and use its essential tools in ways that support your planning, your instruction, and your students. You've also seen how educators are already weaving AI into their practice, and how powerful these tools can be when you combine them with your own expertise and judgment. Completing this course gives you a foundation to build on as you continue to explore AI. The technology will keep evolving, but you decide what tools and approaches make sense for your classroom. At OpenAI, we believe that teachers should set the pace and lead the way. This course gave you a solid set of tools to bring AI into your daily practice. And as you keep exploring, you'll find even more ways to adapt these tools to your unique students and classroom. If you want a place to keep learning and stay connected, you can join our K-12 educator community on OpenAI Academy, where you'll find live events, practical resources, and ongoing support. And if you want to give us feedback on this course and how to better serve educators, please opt into our research study. We're grateful you chose to learn with us, and we can't wait to see what you create. This is just the beginning.